It's precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Edited by Lal Malavarachi, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. The committee appointed on the 20th Amendment hands over its findings to the Prime Minister. The government plans to make Sri Lanka the major naval hub in the Asian region. Police requests motorcycles, three-wheelers entering Colombo to use bus lane. The Army conducts a leadership training for the 50,000 graduate trainees. The total of COVID-19 cases in the country reached 3,265 today. Short and long-term plans will be implemented to meet Sri Lanka's demand for liquid milk. And in news overseas, Hurricane Sally intensifies as southern U.S. states. The local news now in detail. Findings of the committee appointed by the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa to study the proposed 20th Amendment were submitted to the Premier today. The report is also expected to be tabled at the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers scheduled for tomorrow. The committee met yesterday under the chairmanship of Minister Professor G.L. Piris and discussed the facts included in the 20th Amendment. The other members of the committee are Ministers Udaya Gammanpilla, Ali Sabri, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Vimal Weerawansa and State Ministers Susil Premjanth, S. Vielendran as well as MPs Dilan Pereira and Premnath C. Dolawatta. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that Sri Lanka can be made the major naval hub in the Asian region as it has located in the strategic geographical position in the globe. To achieve this target, harbours in the country will be developed to maintain services even for the largest container carriers that can transport about 24,000 containers. The President made these remarks at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat today regarding plans to be implemented by the State Ministry of Ports Development. The President further said that Colombo, Galle, Trincomalee and Oluville harbours should be developed accordingly. Warehouse facilities will be set up in Ratmalana, Paliagoda and Veyangoda areas. President also pointed out the need to construct a boatyard in Beruwala area to manufacture and repair large-scale vessels. Senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, Deshabandu Tennakone, says that three-wheelers and motorcycles will be allowed to drive only on the bus priority lane from tomorrow. Speaking to media today, the senior DIG stated that the decision was taken as three-wheeler drivers and motorcyclists frequently shift from one lane to another while driving, creating traffic congestion. He accordingly urges the three-wheelers, motorcycles as well as bicycles to use only the bus priority lane in order to make this trial run a success. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, the Army conducts leadership training for the 50,000 graduate trainees who have been recruited recently for the state service. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva says that this training will lead to enhance their leadership qualities and to have courage to face day-to-day challenges posed to the youngsters. The training will be carried out in 5 stages. At the first phase, 10,000 graduates will be trained. The Army Commander spoke to the first batch at the Panagoda Army Camp today. The total number of positive COVID-19 cases confirmed in the country reached 3,265 today. In the meantime, the number of recoveries from the disease in Sri Lanka moved up to 3,016 as 11 persons infected with the virus were discharged from hospitals upon recovery. The epidemiology unit says that 236 active cases are currently under medical care. That ends local news. The main news story follows.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has directed officials to implement short and long-term plans in collaboration with the public and private sectors and small-scale farmers to meet Sri Lanka's demand for liquid milk. The President's office said the President had stressed at a discussion yesterday on the need for improved grass cultivation, dairy cow breeding and research institute services in Sri Lanka. His aim is to increase liquid milk production in the country over the next decade. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight, residents of the Mangalagama village on the Ampara border of the Batticaloa district are facing severe difficulties due to the lack of proper drinking water. There are 100 families in the village and once a week water is pumped to the water tanks installed by the Chenkaladi Provincial Local Council Bowsers, but it is not enough for drinking and does not even last longer than 2 weeks. Residents appeal relevant authorities to focus attention to their hardships. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
People's Leasing, the trusted leader. From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines of the world news. Hurricane Sally intensifies as southern U.S. states alert residents. No return to school in Venezuela until at least 2021. Rochester mayor sacks police chief over spit hood case. The world news in detail. A newly formed hurricane is closing in on the U.S. Gulf Coast, threatening several southern U.S. states, including Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama. Hurricane Sally grew to a Category 2 storm yesterday and was expected to make landfall early tomorrow. The hurricane will bring more than 1 feet of rain and 135 kilometers per hour winds to some areas, with the potential of deadly storm surges, officials say. This year's hurricane season has been particularly active. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced last Sunday that schools wouldn't reopen until 2021 at the earliest. It is not helpful for the control of the pandemic, Maduro said about face-to-face classes which had been due to resume this month. He said teaching would be moved online and lessons would also be broadcast on a state TV channel. But many parents have warned that with Venezuela's internet speed, one of the slowest in Latin America, further interrupted by frequent power cuts, neither online nor TV classes are a viable alternative. The mayor of the U.S. city of Rochester has sacked the police chief and suspended 2 other officials over the death of a black man who was hooded and restrained during an arrest. Mayor Lovely Warren said a review had found that the police department had a pervasive problem viewing everything through the eyes of the badge. Police Chief Leron Singletary announced his retirement last week. At the time, he said his handling of the case was being distorted. That ends World News. Prior to concluding the World News, the headlines once again. Hurricane Sally intensifies as southern U.S. states alert residents. No return to school in Venezuela until at least 2021. Rochester Mayor sacks police chief over spit hood case. That concludes Foreign News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
People's Leasing, the trusted leader. From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In development news, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has directed the relevant ministries to immediately renovate all the access roads to the tourist hotspots in the country. Accordingly, all access roads to in-house tourist destinations and dilapidated roads will be renovated immediately to facilitate the local and foreign tourists. He said the roads will be renovated as a preliminary plan to develop tourism industry once the country's airports are opened for the foreign tourists. That was development news. Moving on to sports news. Disagreements over COVID-19 protocols continue to dog Bangladesh's World Test Championship Series in Sri Lanka, which is scheduled to begin in late October. Last week, Sri Lanka Cricket had informed the Bangladesh Cricket Board that the Bangladesh players would need to be in quarantine for 1 week upon landing in the island before being able to train. SLC has now increased the quarantine period to 14 days, and BCB President Nazamul Hassan has said it won't be possible for his players to be confined to their hotel rooms for that long. Immediately after the BCB had spelled out its stance, Sri Lanka's Sports Minister Namal Rajapaksa tweeted that he has asked the SLC to consult the COVID task force to reconsider the matter. That came to you in sports news. Next up, it's the business news.
The wait is over, and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goal.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Palawatha Dairy Industries has extended some value for money deals that can be availed at leading supermarket chains this September. The homegrown company is celebrated for its healthy, fresh, and range of dairy products. As a brand that caters to people from all walks of life, Palawatha Dairy constantly endeavours to make high-quality dairy products accessible to all Sri Lankans. That was Business News.
The wait is over, and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goal.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. When will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
The Asian Development Bank says the COVID-19 pandemic has pulled the region's developing economies into recession. It is the first time in 6 decades that Developing Asia, a designation that includes 45 countries, has seen a regional slump. The ADB says Developing Asia's economy will shrink by 0.7% in 2020, But the region is expected to rebound strongly in 2021, growing by 6.8% next year. That was a look at economic news.
Hello, Puta, did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Weather report was sponsored by
CIB Janajaya Vasana 15th phase offer from 14th September to 11th October. Win gifts worth in 100,000s for every over 3,000 rupees bill. Visit CIB today.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. Showers will occur at times in central, Sabaragamuwa and western provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts, stated the Met Department. Fairly heavy falls above 50 millimeters are likely at some places. That was the weather report. Weather report was sponsored by
CIB Janajaya Vasana 15th phase offer from 14th September to 11th October. Win gifts worth in 100,000s for every over 3,000 rupees bill. Visit CIB today.
Prior to concluding the news, the headlines once again. The committee appointed on 20th Amendment hands over its findings to the Prime Minister. The government plans to make Sri Lanka the major naval hub in the Asian region. Police requests motorcycles, three-wheelers entering Colombo to use bus lane. The Army conducts a leadership training for the 50,000 graduate trainees. The total of COVID-19 cases in the country reached 3,265 today. Short and long-term plans will be implemented to meet Sri Lanka's demand for liquid milk.